It's my resume.
Thank you. Okay, so it's Paul Hoff. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming in today, and thank you for handing me this resume. Um, you are here with me. And what position did you want?
Flight instructor.
Okay. And what type of future are you looking for with us?
Pretty straightforward flight instructing. I'd like to stick around and pursue my passion for teaching and helping build the aviation community from the bottom up.
Okay. Well, one of my first concerns is, and I don't like to do interviews much because most people don't want a job long term. And I don't mind if people are honest with me right off the bat. If they are only here for a year, that's fine with me. If they're here for longer, that's even better. But I just always like to clear that up. Well, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Sure, I'm in school right now. I'm in Lake Area Tech in Watertown. I'm going for professional fixed wing pilot. So once I graduate, I'll be a flight instructor with my instrument rating on top of that and a multi engine commercial pilot. I like customer service. I like working with people, and I love working as part of a team.
Okay, and it looks like you got quite a bit of flight hours, and you've done all these flight hours there in school.
No, so I originally started in T, South Dakota with another flight school. I got my private pilot certificate through them and then realized the benefits of a collegiate program, so I moved to Watertown to pursue my career.
And now, when do you think you're going to get out of school?
May of next year,
Okay, and that's pretty well guaranteed.
as far as I know.
Okay. Looks like you've got a good work experience. Um, how do you feel about split second decisions? Because that's kind of what we base a lot of our pilot time on. Have you ever been in positions where you've had to make a split second decision?
Yeah, all the time. So right now I'm working at Walmart as a service writer in the auto care center. And a lot of what I do is say a customer comes in and they want an oil change. Well, it's up to me to find out whether or not we can take that or if I have to turn it down or how we can go about that. It's usually a lot of last minute, like, okay, we've got so many cars in the bays, we've got so many customers in line. How can I make this work? How can't I make this work?
Sure, sure. So I can't guarantee that you're going to get this job, and I can't guarantee you're going to like it. But going future, for my benefit, if you do hire on, and for your own benefit, what would be the most applicable job for you, or placement here? I know what you're applying for, but what exactly would you like to see yourself doing in 5 years here with us?
I'd like to be the head flight instructor.
And that'd be within 5 years?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. That takes a lot of teamwork when you're kind of ahead of a department. How have you been with your other workers? How have you treated them? How they've treated you? How did you when these other jobs that you've left due to moving and whatnot? How did you leave those jobs? Were people happy with you? Were managers happy with you? Coworkers happy with you?
Yeah, I leave every job in good standing. I think it's bad practice to burn bridges, and I can guarantee in full confidence right now that I could call up any previous job and say, hey, I need work, and they would hire me on the spot.
Okay. And so, what would you think? What would be your biggest selling point to hiring on with us?
I would say my personableness. I am really good with gift of gab type situations. Everybody comes to Paul because they like Paul. They don't care what Paul's doing, they don't care what Paul's selling. They come to Paul, they support Paul because they like Paul, if that makes sense.
Sure, sure. And so, would you think that'd be an asset, one of your biggest assets, or would that just be a supporting asset?
I think I think that's definitely one of my biggest assets. I believe a lot in personableness and being a charismatic person, but I also believe a lot in the fact that a man's work represents himself most directly, and so that's part of why I try to put my best foot forward every chance I get, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Um, how many other applications do you have out there? How many other resumes have you sent out there?
None right now.
So we're your first.
Yes.
Okay. The first, and you're thinking and when could you hire on with us? After school, or is that something we could bring you in sooner?
The moment I graduate.
Okay. All right. Well, and then are you going to need any type of funding to try to help pay off your college debt through us?
No.
Okay. Going through life and going through school, what do you think has been one of the most aggravating situations? Probably from about 14-year old on.
You know, I've been in a lot of situations where it doesn't matter how much I try to help a person. They don't want to help themselves. And it's always frustrating to see that happen when you want to give somebody the world and they just want to tear it down, if that makes sense.
Sure, sure. So if you are poised to work with others that have that type of mentality, that have more seniority, and
Go ahead.
so the question was is when you have to deal with people that you believe aren't giving their best, how are you going to have to handle that in a situation where you're working side by side with them, 30,000 feet in the air?
I think a lot of that comes down to setting expectations. So before I go fly, say with a student, I want to set the expectation of, okay, this is what we're going to do today. This is how we're going to tackle it. This is what we're going to try to teach, or this is what you're going to try to learn. These are our goals. I think setting expectations with people so they know exactly where they stand is one of the best ways to just have a smooth ride with them, so to speak.
Sure. So I always like to hear about everyone's pros, but what are your cons?
I would say I've got experience teaching, I've got experience helping people with education, but I haven't been around a lot of the nuances of teaching. So sometimes when I say I have a student who's struggling to understand a particular topic, and I try and I try and I try to teach it to them, to spoon feed it to them, and nothing's getting through to them. I don't really have any great tricks up my sleeve for that. So what I do is I try to just go up the chain and I ask people who are more experienced or higher ups and I say, "Hey man, what would you do in this situation?" And then I take their advice and that's how I get rid of that.
Okay. So that pretty much answers times when you lack competence from just lack of experience, how you're going to solve those problems.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are you looking for base pay?
You know, all I'm trying to make is enough to support myself and to pay off my college debt.
For the rest of your life?
Mm, for the next year or two.
Okay.
Those are my main priorities right now.
You feel like you've been successful so far in your endeavors?
I would say so, yes.
Okay. Well, it looks like you've had a lot of activities, and a lot of volunteer experience. We appreciate that. Um, well, do you have any questions for me?
Sure. How many students do your instructors typically have?
We'd like to do 20.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I like to hear that they stay busy.
Yeah. It's one of those things where if we keep numbers low, it seems like a lot of our instructors get a little bored and they slip. So if we keep the numbers high, there's not much time for slippage.
Yeah, I
So
like that. I like that.
we pretty much require the best out of our tutors. So
Sure, sure.
how would you feel about having 20? Could you handle that in a realistic day?
You know, that's the first time I've been around a flight school that has that student to instructor ratio. I think Lake Area Tech has a ratio of one instructor to four students. So I think it'd be a challenging environment, but that's nothing I'm not up to.
Okay,
You got time for one more question?
I do.
Sure. So at 20 students per instructor, how many hours do flight instructors typically get per year?
Well, it's going to depend on their age and experience
Okay.
and what holidays. We're pretty big on holidays here. We do with the schedule like that. We do try to take every holiday. We we liken our schedule to almost a college teacher, where they take quite a bit of holidays off. So we appreciate doing the same thing.
Sure.
But we've got so many flight instructors. It would probably be 200. So
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah,
I like the sound of that. I like staying busy. That's important.
yep, it'd be a busy week.
Yeah.
So we do about a 54 person rotation. Now I don't know why you find that funny.
I know.
So that's
God damn.
that's how this company does it. But I appreciate you coming in, and I appreciate you handing me
Very
your paper here, and I'd like to shake your hand. I think you'll be a good fit. I'm gonna probably fit you in that first week in January. That'll be your week. So,
Okay. That sounds really good.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Yep. Have a great day.
You too.